go ahead and get started. It's about 10:01. Well, good morning and welcome to our monthly training webinar. My name is Leah Holtrop and I'm the training manager for Salamander Technologies. In today's training, I'm going to be doing a comprehensive breakdown on the 17 default equipment tag designs available within Salamander Live. And then we'll also talk about which ones can be used for inventory purposes. I will also touch on some of the best practices to follow when printing inventory tags. With me on the call today is Amy Coghill. Amy is our Director of Operations, and she'll be providing some information on label options and recommendations for selecting the best tag material for your application needs.
Good afternoon.
So hopefully you guys can see my screen. Oh, sorry about that, Amy.
That's okay. Good afternoon, everyone, or I should say morning still.
All right, so when it comes to printing inventory tags, this is all done through Salamander Live. So on top of having access to Salamander Live, you will also need the print control software, and you need that installed on the computer. With that, you'll need a license key, and then of course have the label printer plugged in and then configured with your computer. Now, if you want the ability to print from multiple computers, you do need print control installed on every single one of those computers, as well as have a separate license key for each. And if you'd like, you can have a separate printer installed and configured for each one of those as well. Now, to make sure that you get the best print results, always make sure that you have the most updated print control software installed on that computer that you're designating to print inventory tags. Now, the most current version right now that we have released is version 5.0.5.0. Now, these software updates and, of course, feature releases that we do are normally communicated through our email and also within our monthly bulletins. So if you're not receiving those, you'll want to make sure that you contact our marketing department, which is marketing@salamanderlive.com, so that we can get you added onto our distribution list. So now let's talk about some best practices. So first things first, when we look at printing inventory tags, it's always best to do a test print. And this is really to ensure that your tags are aligned, your labels are aligned, graphics and the design meet your needs. The really last thing you want to do is to print out 100 labels and find out they're all misaligned. So in that case, you're basically wasting your supply. So always just do one test print from your computer. Second thing is when it comes to batch printing, we recommend that you print a max of 100 at a time. And the main reason for this is school time. So the more records you're printing, the longer it takes to organize and pass information to your printer. So if you're printing, when we test this out, printing 100 labels or tags, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if you're printing thousands of tags, again, that time is going to multiply, so it's going to be a lot longer while your computer gets prepped and ready to print those tags. Another thing to note with batch printing is that a single tag design is going to be applied to all records based on the design that you select within the print control window. So I'll show you that next so you can see what that's going to look like. And then last but not least is always calibrate your printer after changing the ribbon or label stock. So each time. To do this, the calibration, it's very easy. All you need to do is turn on the printer, press and hold the feed button. So there's a feed button at the top of the printer, and you want to hold it down until it flashes 2 times and then release it. What this is going to do, it's going to run an automatic set of calibrations, and you'll want to wait until the printer finishes the calibration before you start printing. Now, if you are changing the stock type, for example, if you're going from asset labels to rapid tag, or you're going from rapid tag to asset labels, you want to hold down that button, that feed button, and wait until the printer flashes 4 times before releasing the feed button. What that's going to do is going to reset the driver settings back to default. All right, so when you log into Salamander Live and you go to the print screen, this is what you're going to see. So you'll see that there's a total of 17 default equipment tag designs that's included in the print control installation. Of course, if you have custom designs, you may not have all of these, and you may have additional. But what we're going to talk about today is just going to be the default tag designs that you get. So for ease of identification, all the default equipment tag designs begin with the letter E. And when we say equipment, that's synonymous with inventory. So these 17 designs can be categorized into 3 groups. We group them as hard card designs, standard paper designs, and then last but not least, label designs. So what we're going to do is we're going to review all the designs. However, I will pinpoint the ones that can be used for inventory labeling. So let me just go into Salamander Live before we continue here so you can see this printing process. So let me just log in. So you're going to use Salamander Live. What I'm going to be showing is version 2. And then when you go in here, click on your equipment to access your equipment database or your asset management database. Once you get in there, just simply click and select your designs. Or I'm sorry, select your inventory items that you're looking at printing, and then you can select design. So in this case, if you're batch printing, you can select, again, you'll go to the bottom here and show 100. Let's say you're selecting all of these right here. Just click the top of the checkbox, and I'll select them all. And then you'll see the print icon. Go ahead and click on that. Once you click on that, you'll see the print window open. So your print window is right here. So first things first is select your printer. So in here you would select your Zebra printer. And then next is select your design. So there's all these different designs in here, and that's what we're going to go through. We're going to go through each of these designs, or actually the family of these designs. And of course, with each tag design that you're printing, you are able to select. So similar to when you're printing out credentials, is that you have the ability to select issue and expiration dates. Most likely for your inventory, you're not going to be setting issue and expiration dates for that, but there is an option if you choose to do so. All right. So let's take a look at the first design here, and these are the hard card designs. So the hard card designs are separated into 2 main groups based on their available design features. You have the eCard 3 tag and the eCard industry designs. So these are the 3 card tag designs right here, and then the eCard industry. So within the eCard industry designs, you'll have common color variations that are available, and then each are named for the specific organization types used with the color. So for example, on here you'll see emergency management has yellow, fire is red, government yellow, and arms are gray, and so on and so forth. Now these hard card designs are intended to be more for permanent tags, which are then printed on the CR80 size cards. So those are the 2x3 cards. And then you're going to be using a hard card printer for that. So for this design here, it contains a front and a back. So very similar to when you're printing people tags. So on the front of the tag, you're going to have the equipment barcode, organization name, the organization logo, the name of the item, a picture of the item, the ID number, description, state, and on the back of the ID, you're going to find the organization's address and the equipment's qualifications. And very similar to your people credentials. So with the eCard 3 tag design, this again also uses the CR80 size cards, except these ones are different. These use the up tag. So these 3 up tags are different because they can be broken into 3 2x1 tags. And each one of those tags have a pre-punched hole in them already. On these tags, the information that's contained in them include the equipment barcode, the organization name, organization logo, the name of the item, a picture of the item, the ID, and description. So this has less information. Again, you're working with less real estate for this, so you're going to have less information. But you still have the ability to put in a picture, logo, and everything in here. Now, what's unique about the 3-up pegs is that these can be used in place of sticker labels for equipment that may not have a large enough surface to place a 2x1 label. For example, extension cords. I know that some of our organization, our customers out there are using these to label their extension cords or things that have cords. In this case, what you would do is you could use a zip tie to tie the label since there's a pre-punched hole in there already, and tie that label directly to the equipment. Now, you could also place these directly on a key ring for a vehicle key. So instead of putting a sticker on a vehicle, you could put this directly onto the vehicle itself on the key ring. Again, these are just some of the examples of how you can use this type of design for labeling inventory. Next on here is going to be the standard paper designs. So these standard paper designs, you'll know that there are standard paper designs for people, but then there's also some in the system for equipment. Now, both of these, the standard paper designs, are meant for plain paper, or if you have the specific Avery label sheet, so it's described in the name, so either the 5163 or on the next slide, I'll show the 5199. So you can have the specific Avery label sheets and use to print on those, and now you've got little stickers. Now, those can be printed with or without images as labeled in the design name. So, for example, here you'll see the 5163. In the label name, it actually says without images, and then this one says with images. Now, these designs are typically used to create a resource book or a scannable roster for incident commanders to quickly assign known equipment during an event. Now, from an inventory perspective, these could also be printed into an inventory book. And so that it allows your logistics managers, those that are managing your inventory, to have easy access to all inventoried items, especially consumables, since consumables tend to not be labeled individually. Now, for all the designs, so each of these standard paper designs, you're going to see an equipment barcode, organization name, name of the item's ID, a description, make, model, and then any qualifications. Now, each of these are going to print up to, so the Avery 5163 with or without images prints up to 10 barcodes per sheet. Then you have this right here, which is the photo roster. This one only prints up to 7 barcodes per sheet. You'll see on here that the pictures on here are a lot bigger, as well as the logo. So again, this is, again, as the name says, photo roster. So that's why the photos on here are a lot bigger. It helps you really identify the piece of item or equipment that you're labeling. Next on here is we have the 5199 design. So you've got 2 of them, 5199 without or with images. So these prints up to 10 barcodes per sheet as well. Now, the only difference between the 5199 and the 5163 is that the placement of the images are different. Otherwise, they contain the same information as their counterpart. Now, the equipment assignment sheet, this right here, is used more for event management, so not necessarily for inventory purposes, but for event management. What this design does is it turns an item's name into an assignment barcode. And what it does now is allow people and equipment to be assigned to that equipment assignment, which can then be tracked as a collection. So a collection is basically a group of resources, people and equipment, that can be tracked as a single resource. So same thing with this one. This one prints up to 10 assignment barcodes per sheet. And then last but not least, we have the label designs. So the label designs are best printed on 2x1 label stock using our Zebra label printer. Now, there are 2 label designs available for equipment. First is the E2x1 equipment design, so this one right here. This is the one that's most typically used to label inventory. The design contains the equipment barcode, the name of the item, and the organization it belongs to. So again, just your basic information. Now for this one, I'd say that this is the one that we probably have most of our customers use some custom design with, where they add in the ID number and description and other things. The biggest thing is to make sure that it all fits within the limited space that you have here. Yes. Now this design here, the 2x1 equipment assignment. So this one works very similar to the 8.5 by 11 equipment assignment sheet design, except this one is on a smaller scale. So this one also turns an equipment name into an assignment barcode, which allows people and equipment to be assigned to the equipment and then act as a collection. So any questions on these here? I'm going to open up for questions for our different designs, family of designs that's available within Salamander Live. Okay. If there's no questions, Amy, who's going to talk more about the different label options and things to consider when selecting a label.
All right, thank you, Leah. Well, today I'd like to just take a few moments just to discuss some of the options and considerations that you might take into account when you're producing labels for your assets and consumables. Certainly there's many types of labels out there, and not all labels are created equal. It's important when you make your selection that you have some consideration of what you're going to apply that label to, but also what type of elements it might be exposed to and the type of longevity that you would expect that label to provide. In the label family, there's not necessarily a good, better, best option. It's more of a selection based upon features of a particular label and aligning those features to be congruent with the products that you're labeling. When choosing the proper label for your application, there are various factors that you need to take into consideration. But before we go into details about specific label options, I just want to briefly discuss how labels are classified. Labels are placed within various families and then further placed into classifications within those families. I'm just going to talk a moment on what a family and classification means to you when you're making your selection. Today we utilize Zebra Media, and as a manufacturer, they break the different material types like paper or synthetic into separate family categories. Zebra offers a variety of paper and synthetic face stock, which will meet the requirements of most applications. Paper offers an inexpensive way to print a variety of general purpose applications, while synthetic offers more durability and longer lasting results, especially with resistance to abrasion, moisture, and chemicals, which we'll get into that a little bit further here. Classification within a family refers to how Zebra Media products are classified by their level of performance and their cost. The higher the product code of the label, the higher the performance level you can expect. If you were to require a specialty or a custom label, they're going to be classified in a completely separate, different way. Another additional aspect that I need to mention is print technology. We provide label options which will either require a ribbon for printing or no ribbon is required. Thermal transfer technology uses a ribbon to transfer an image onto that label material, where direct thermal technology does not require a ribbon. Instead, what happens is a chemically coated heat-sensitive material will produce an image as heat is applied to the surface of that label as it moves through that printer. Now, what does that mean when you're making your selection? Well, there's different benefits. So a direct thermal label technology is going to require you to primarily to use that indoor use. It's going to have a short to medium term lifespan. It's going to have minimal chemical resistance, but you'll get the benefit of not needing to use a ribbon. Where thermal transfer, you can use that indoors or outdoors. You're going to get a medium to a long-term lifespan, and it's going to have excellent chemical resistance. The downside is that a ribbon is required. Now I'd like to switch over and just talk about some of the media types that we offer and just some of the range of characteristics that they have. We offer a range of media, with the low end being the paper. The paper label, as I'd mentioned, does not require a ribbon, so it's very quick and convenient to place the roll in the printer and you're ready to print. The material is the most inexpensive labeling option and is best suited for low contact indoor applications. All the other label families that we provide will require the use of a ribbon. It's important to note that each label has a specialty, and there's going to be certain strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, it's important to think about the type of environment and the material the label will need to adhere to. The label might have a strong resilience in one aspect, but reduced capabilities in other areas. And that's where I mentioned earlier that there's really not a good, better, best option. It really depends upon the application. Some of the strengths involve the surface life of the label, meaning the time that that label is rated to maintain integrity in an outdoor location. Most labels range from 18 months to 3 years outdoors. When you get into some of the specialty labels or custom, they can withstand 10 years outdoors. So there's quite a range there. Another aspect to consider is the adhesive type that's used on the label. There's two main adhesive types used. It's either going to be rubber-based or acrylic-based. Rubber-based adhesion will give you a fast cure time, or what they call high tack, where acrylic adhesive is going to take time to cure, approximately up to 24 hours depending upon your specific conditions. But overall, the acrylic might maintain a better hold long term. An important factor also in rating labels is based upon their chemical resistance. Chemicals are categorized from weak to extreme, as you can see there, where blood or window cleaner would be examples of weak chemicals. Moderate would be gas or oil, and then extreme you're looking at acetone or xylene. For each chemical resistance category, a label is determined to be either rated for that application, as you can see. We've got rated, not rated, or it's placed in a category that you would need to test that in your environment. There are two additional attributes that are also crucial to consider. What type of resistance will the label need to possess, and the types of surfaces recommended for placement. The resistance is broken into two aspects, moisture and abrasion. In thinking about placement, is the label going to be in a high-touch area or on a surface that might experience rubbing or abrasion? Like Leah had mentioned, if you're going to put a label on a key ring, that's going to experience a lot of abrasion and rubbing. So you might want to consider that 3-up card for that particular application. If you have a variety of surfaces to inventory, you might want to evaluate the surface types that you need to label. Do you have assets that would have metal applications as well as rough or curved surfaces? If this is the case, ideally you'd invest in different label types to accommodate those materials. Today I just touched upon some high-level characteristics and categories that are used to classify asset management labels. There are many options to choose from, but we have worked here to identify a family of labels that can address about 80% of the installation needs our customers have. Certainly if you have a special circumstance or a unique application, or if you have just further questions based upon your application needs, we're happy to work with you. Please reach out to your local sales rep. We do have custom options, as I mentioned, that can be offered. to assist you with identifying that correct solution. All right, Leah, I will pass this back to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Amy, for going through that. Now, I just wanted to add on here when Amy talked about those curved surfaces, and any of these types of surfaces, when you're placing, especially when you're looking at labels on top of a surface, is to make sure that they are readable and that the QR code itself is going to be readable if you're going to be using the QR, so the inventory app, to read that QR code. So that QR code, if it's bent in any way or the surface is too curved, the phone might not read that enough. So you want to take that into consideration as well too when you're placing items on curved surfaces or rougher surfaces where there could be indentations within that QR code. All right, do we have any questions on what Amy just went over when we're looking at label options? All right. Well, everything that we went over today, so especially when we're looking at label options, we are working on a one-pager that's going to contain all this information and also have some of this rated, not rated, and test information on there. So that will be available from our marketing department, available to you, so that you'll at least have a visual to help you to define which is going to be the correct solution for you. And as Amy said, if you have questions and if you need a option that's not listed, make sure you reach out to the local sales rep because they may offer other options as well. Other than that, I want to thank everybody for being on the call today. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being on our calls. For those that have been with us since we started this, this is going to be our last call for this year, so for 2020, for these monthly training calls. We will return back in January, so we kind of have a December off time to kind of get everything here in 2021. So thank you all so much for being a part of this, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you all.
Thank you.